What are your thoughts on the recent rule change for the NFL running backs now unable to lead with the crown of their helmet? And how is this going to affect running back play in the open field?
Well, I actually like the rule. I do think the NFL is trying to do everything possible to make the game safer. And so I really have no problem with the rule because they simply said when you're outside of the tackle box, you cannot use the crown of your helmet. And so I know for me, I definitely like the rule because I never was a guy when I got outside of the tackle box that used the crown of my helmet anyway. I always tried to use my stiff arm. I tried to, make moves in the open field. I was always looking for the big run. And so if you're a bigger back, you may have a problem with that because bigger backs want to put their pass down. They want to run you over. But I think it makes you now be more of an athlete, particularly at the running back position.
Yeah, we agree with that rule too. I mean, we don't really have a problem with it. Usually backs, like you said, if they're a little bit bigger, they'll want to get a little lower pad level. But when you're in the open field, man, you want to make those defenders tackle in space.
Exactly.
Stop that big play. We believe the NFL needs to lead by example, as kids often mimic what professional players do. What are your thoughts on this subject?
Well, I absolutely agree with you. Everything that the NFL does, the kids are watching, and, they actually do mimic what professional players do. And even, when I was a kid, I was the same way. I watched the NFL guys, and I tried to do everything that NFL guys did. And I'm sure that Roger Goodell and the guys that make the decisions that are on a competition committee and whatnot, they're thinking about that. They know exactly what they have and what's involved on the NFL level. They know that these kids are watching them. And you know what? The NFL is involved a lot of times with a lot of the Pop Warner and Little League teams. So it's a great relationship between the two, and I think it's a great step that the NFL is taking.
Yeah, the kids really look up to you guys. I mean, I'll have kids wear your signature, dark visor. I'll have them doing the Ray Lewis dance. So the kids definitely look up to the athletes. So
it's absolutely.
What can youth football coaches do at practice to ensure player safety?
Well, I think a lot needs to be more emphasis on fundamentals, and I think that's the one thing where I feel like it is changing on the Pop Warner level. I know when I played Little League, I mean, it was straight, get out there and bull in the ring, heads up, it's getting after it right away. And nowadays, that's not the safest way to do it. I really think coaches need to spend more time out of pads, teaching more, how to tackle and the right way to bring a guy down, or the right way to lower your head and try to run over somebody. All those things, you can teach, but it takes fundamentals, and you don't need pads in order to get that done. I think a lot of times, like I said, when I was young, we didn't know. We had no idea what we were doing. And now that I think on it, I'm like, man, I can't believe that you just jumped right into tackling and doing some of the things that we did. And now I think about my son.
Yeah, Pop Warner, I know they were the first league to start implementing they limit the amount of time you can hit in practice, and so they're kind of taking the first steps here.
And I think that's great.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make a difference. We often highlight all of the benefits of playing youth football as the game has come under criticism as of late. You played Pop Warner football as a child. Tell us about your experiences playing youth football and how it shaped you as a man.
Well, I had great experiences playing Pop Warner. Don't get me wrong, and I think playing Pop Warner actually helped me to play, better, understand my teammates and play as a team, to play together and really not become a selfish player. And also I think another thing that it does, it teaches you early on to learn how to deal with disappointment, how to deal with wins and losses, good sportsmanship, things like that. I think that's definitely what Pop Warner did for me as a child, and I think it continues to do that for our youth.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely teaches you something about, facing adversity and, being resilient.
So, LaDainian, was your first play ever, did that lead to a touchdown? Is that true?
Yes, it did. Yeah, the first time I ever, touched the football, I ran a touchdown. So I guess it was kind of destiny for me.
That's true. It was.
Yeah, he's one of those players. He would get the ball 3 out of 4 downs with me. Yeah, and that's the way it was with my coach. I played quarterback, so I took the snap and it was just run around the end. Make a move on somebody and score. Yeah, get that edge defender block too. It's a wrap.
Yep.
What can a youth football running back do at home to improve their vision and explosion?
Well, one of the things that I like to do that youth football players can do at home for their vision is to simply get a deck of cards. And, you can do it by yourself, or it really helps if you have someone to help you. And what you do is with that deck of cards, you throw one at a time in the air, and you're trying to catch that card. And so it helps work on hand and eye coordination. And if you really want to get tricky, have a fan there to blow that card all over the place. That way you'll really get some good work with your hand and eye coordination. That was a drill I did constantly, and it really helped my vision. As far as the explosion part, there's so many different things you can do at home. I mean, jump rope is one of the biggest things that'll help your explosion. Also, running heels, running up and down heels, running a heel, or simply, now it may be too much for a youth football player, but, like pulling tires, and if you able to have a parachute, one of the parachutes that you see a lot of athletes running with in open field, that also helps your explosion. So all those things you can actually do at home if you're a youth football player.
You were the fastest to score 100 touchdowns in NFL history. How are you able to find the end zone so consistently?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, honestly. I mean, you got to have good teammates around you. I had some great linemen that did the dirty work. They really worked hard for me in the trenches. I had a really good fullback in Lorenzo Neal who, used to throw his body in there against the best linebackers in the game. And then I had a coach that gave me the football. He believed in me enough to give me the football. And then it's also about having the determination to get in the end zone when you get the football. And sometimes there's not going to be anything there. It's the determination that drives you to get to the end zone. Also, we talked about earlier vision. Sometimes you gotta, the hole may not be in where it's supposed to be. It may be at a different hole. So you got to have the vision to find a soft spot and then hit it as hard as you can and get in the end zone.
You're so passionate about giving back to your community with annual events such as 21 Strikes for Kids and Thanksgiving dinner giveaways. What motivates you to give back to your community?
Well, my family, I saw that when I was growing up. I saw giving back through my family. I saw my family taking in kids that didn't have a place to stay, that stayed with us at certain times. I had an auntie that, would have 5 or 6 kids living with her at one time because they didn't have somewhere to go, or their mom was on drugs, or whatever the case was. And I saw that as a kid, so I always felt like it was a need for me to give back. Whatever that was, if I was blessed enough and fortunate enough to have things that, others didn't, then I felt like it was the only right thing to do. But my family set the example at a young age.
We understand that you now have what is known as the LaDainian Tomlinson Preparatory Academy. What is the academy, and what are the services it provides?
Yeah, well, the Academy, we're a resource for student athletes, parents, and coaches, for those student athletes who aspire to play at the collegiate level. And so basically, we help student athletes get scholarships to school, and that's our whole goal. Now, is that D1? No, not all the time. It's not D1. Maybe it's Division II. Maybe it's, D3 or whatnot. Our job is to help you get a scholarship, and we have so many different services that help educate the parents and the student athletes on the process that it takes to get to college. What does that mean? Taking the ACT and the SAT. What's your core course GPA? What's the grading scale? All the different things that you have to know to get to college. And a lot of student athletes, a lot of parents, they simply do not know. I didn't know when I was coming out, and a lot of kids are in that same situation. So it's our job to educate those kids on the process.
So Youth Football Online has a national all-star program that showcases best student athletes in the classroom and on the football field. Tell us about your commitment to highlighting the importance of education and how your academy helps in those areas.
Well, we talked about, the education part of it and what you have to do to play. And so that's why you hear us use the term all the time is student athlete, is because we simply believe, you're a student first, then an athlete. That's why we always say student athletes and talk to our student athletes about being a student first, because we simply understand if you don't have the grades, you won't be able to play anyway. If you don't qualify, you won't be able to make it to college anyway. And so we're real big on the educational part and trying to help these kids understand that, hey, this is the most important. There is never a year, freshman, sophomore, junior, there's never a year where you should take it off, where you think, I should just cruise this year because I'm real good in football, basketball, whatever the case may be, and, I'll be okay in my grades. It shouldn't be like that. And so we always try to make sure they understand what comes first. And we have a number of different things, seminars, we do consulting, we have definitely a core course program where we can monitor their grades and see what they're taking in school and whatnot. And so, we've taken the approach of being proactive with the educational component.
I understand you have a summer football clinic in Fort Worth, Texas, and another in Kennesaw, Georgia this year. Tell us, what will it entail, when is it, and where can we get more information about the clinic?
Yeah, well, the Fort Worth clinic is actually June 28th through the 30th, and obviously that's in Fort Worth. And the Kennesaw, Georgia clinic is in July. It's July 12th through the 14th. And basically it entails a three-day clinic of everything. So basically we're doing things on the field, we're doing things in the classroom. And so, it's like you're basically going through a car wash in 3 days. You're getting everything you need to know about the process of college and what it takes. And so kids are going to get tested on the field, like in a combine-style atmosphere where they get their 40 taken, vertical jumps, different things like that, as well as learning the skill side of the position on the field, getting coached by some excellent coaches. And then not only that, they go to the classroom and learn what it takes, to get to college, what they need to have for their grade point average, how they get recruited, how they get recognized, how do you make a highlight tape, the right things for the parents to do, what not to do. We go through the whole spiel. Everything that you actually need to know, we do it. And so that's what it will entail.